Thank you very much. Although I don't understand what you're talking about, but thank you for a kind of introduction. So I want to extend my thanks to Sammy and other members of the local organizing committee for the invitation. It's my great pleasure and honor to be here to give this presentation. So I'm going to talk about my research and some updates from China about insect mass rearing, and especially for black tree fly, because that's my favorite one. So I'm from Huazhong Agricultural University, and my laboratory is State Key Laboratory of Agricultural Microbiology. So my major is microbiology when I was a master and PhD student, but now I get so interested in insects now. So what we mainly work on is use black tree fly and microbes to convert organic waste for protein production and other byproducts. So my talk is going to have 6 parts. First, I'm going to give some brief introduction. Mr. Paul Van Tommy had talked about a lot about our situation, global situation, about the food supply and the population status. So it's not necessary to repeat. So by 2015, we're going to have about 9 to 11 billion people on our Earth. So I'm going to focus more on what we are facing in China. China has become the #1 producer of pig meat and chicken meat, even other animal products in the whole world. But in the meantime, we are facing a serious problem about organic waste pollution in China. So every year, we're going to have about 3.8 billion tons of animal manure accumulated in the whole country. And the government released a policy: if you cannot handle the waste properly, you have to shut down all your facilities, shut down your farmer, so you cannot do this business. Another thing is, for China, we also is the #1 importer of protein materials. So we import like 1 million tons of fish meal and 70 million tons of soybean meal every year. So the foreign trade dependence for our country is about 85%. So it's kind of dangerous for us. We have to our human race have to think about alternative protein resources for now, but also for China, it's more serious for us. This slide shows the international marine fisheries. About 53% of the fishery is fully exploited and 32 overexploited. If we do this keep doing this in this way, but the global marine fishery is going to collapse by 2048. There are some species of the fish already, facing the survival rate. So survival already straightened. So we had our first conference in 2014 in Netherlands, sponsored by FAO and Mr. Paul Van Tommy as one chairperson and another professor from Washington University. So people, all of us, we are thinking about insects may do something for all of us. So we have some environmental benefits and health benefits, like Paul already showed, the greenhouse gas production and the feed conversion efficiency is more efficient, and they require less land and less water, but have better nutrient comparison and other beneficial effects. So here is from one review paper talking about greenhouse gas emissions from animal husbandry. Actually, if we do this in a proper way, the more sustainable way, use insects, it's easier for us. It can reduce greenhouse gas emissions for the whole industry. this slide shows edible insects species by countries for all over the world. You can see from this slide, China. The color of China is kind of dark. And when I was a kid, I ate a lot of edible insects in China. When I was a kid, like silkworm, pupa, and other things. Here shows the recorded edible insect species per group in the whole world. Mostly 40% of the edible insect is from the beetle like, and some like 15% is from the diptera and flies and other things. Another interesting thing is this book is published by the Microbiology Academy of from the US. They said microbes also can help feed the world, because here the roots of the plant is the key for the second green revolution, because there are more and more researchers focusing on the immunity of plants, but the immunity of the plants is majorly from the root, and the roots contacted so close with the soil, but there are microorganisms in the soil. So microorganisms can do a lot of things for us, for the plant, for the second green revolution. So what we have been focusing on is using insects and the microbes. Insects is one of the biggest group of animals on the planet, and the microbes also are very common everywhere. So we try to use these two organisms to do something together. This picture shows the bacteria mating and laying eggs. So probably a lot of people know this, but I'm going to give a brief introduction of the life history. It's very typical for the biorefinery. Have 4 different developing stages: egg, larvae, and pupa, and adults. It takes about 40 days for the whole life history. So why biorefinery is got so interested by people in the first place? Because it can be used for waste management, and the larvae has higher crude protein and the crude fat content, and can be used for animal feed and other usage. So it's very beneficial for our human race. And I started working on biorefinery since I was a master's student since 2004, and since 2008 we are trying to establish a local colony from our Wuhan, and by collaborating with Dr. Tomberlin from Texas A&M University, we did a lot of work on their mass rearing technologies and conversion technologies. So since 2012, we want to do this in industrial level. By collaborating with some companies, with some farmers, we do the demonstration basis to mass production the biorefinery and make protein products. And now we are moving on to other aspects, some basic part, because we had the genome analyzed for the biorefinery, and we are moving on to the genetic manipulation of this insect. We want to make biorefinery to become the model insect for edible insects, especially for basic research. Second part is mass rearing. So since 2008, we had Wuhan strain, a local strain from our province, and we compared with other strains from Texas, and another strain from southern part of China, Guangzhou. The development and waste reduction complexity is kind of higher. Maybe it's because Wuhan is located in the middle of China, so they're more adapted to their environment, and they're good. They have better characteristics. So what we use in China mostly is Wuhan strain now. Also, as we biorefinery usually, if we want we want to rarely all year round, there is a problem because without the sunlight, the melting rate and evaporation will be the rate will be low. So we tested a lot of artificial lights since 2006, and we found one artificial light when by our master students, and we got a patent and a published paper. So now you can see the picture. It's 2009. It's almost 8 years ago. So now we have some more some better ones now for mass rearing. Also, we got some other artificial lights, which is much better than the original one, much better, and energy saving, and it works very well. And mating and evaporation rate got enhanced. No big difference to the direct sunlight. You can see the evaporation. Also, I did some research about the attractant for evaporation and the mating. So what we use is use some chemical attractant, put it onto the trap, and they can lay more eggs. Here you can see the eggs. It's from 2 hours. In 2 hours, you can get so much eggs for the black fly, and it's enough. It's enough for 100 to 200 tons to treat 200 tons of waste. So I think for the mass rearing of black fly, it's kind of a very we cannot see its success, but we can do large scale mass rearing, and we can manipulate a large amount of waste in China now. So third part is about the conversion techniques for organic waste using black fly and microbes. So here is the picture. Black fly convert chicken manure. I think it is chicken manure. So what we established is another one is we call it a co-conversion. Use microbes and the black fly because we isolated and from the material and from the gut some protease bacteria for black fly. It can enhance the growth rate and with the conversion rate, so we can get more larval biomass at the end if we inoculate with proper formulated bacteria. So it's this figure shows it's done in the black fly and bacteria in chicken manure. So after the conversion, after separation, the larvae or pupa, we use this thing to dry it. Most of the people in China, most of the companies in China, they are using microwaves to dry their black fly. Can continuously dry. And get dry larvae, or you can do some spring dry or skim the black fly powder, or you can get the oil and the biodiesel afterwards. So use this technology. We established our base in China, in Wuhan. Actually, this chicken farm has like 400,000 lean hens, which can produce 40 tons of manure every day, and we use this technology for the waste management there. Actually, for this part, because for farmer, for the company, they are more concerned about the investment and the cost and economical stuff. So we have at least three options for this part, and you can do it very simple way, or you can use this machine. We by collaborating with the company, we designed this machine for the conversion part. Everything is machinery, and the labor requirement will be reduced. Here is another one. This machine has been tested since this August, and it worked very well, but need improvement at some small part. Another option for the conversion technology and conversion facilities, what we have been done in China is another company from Xi'an, Jim Green. they are more interested in the food waste because we have so many restaurants in the bigger cities, and we produce a lot of restaurant waste. It's like food waste every day. So they are more focused on the food waste. They use our technology, and we together we designed this system in Beijing. Actually, this is a new one. It's just established and still under testing in Beijing. Here are some pictures of the whole system. This system can manage 200 tons of food waste every day automatically. Every step is automatically, and including the pre-treatment of the material, including inoculation, including the separation of the larvae, including the dry. Everything is automatic. If you get a chance to visit China, probably you can go there to see the equipment there. Because the company Jim Green, we have been collaborated for almost 5 years, and they are very open, and they are, they would love to share other things. Here, this picture shows how they turn it over and for further separation of the larvae. Also, this whole plant is under control. The whole environment is under control. The air exchanging, everything is under control. So now we are testing like 50 tons, and soon we're going to have 200 tons every day managed in China for food waste. But this need a lot of money. You have to invest a lot of money on this equipment. But in China, the situation is different in China. So you can get a refund for food waste treatment. The government, we're going to give you some benefits for the if you can manage that problem. You see, it's beautiful, and this one is for this one can work for black street fly, also can work for yellow mealworm, because yellow mealworm is the #1 edible insect in China. I mean, the industry level, they have a big industry. And the second one is black street fly. The third one is house fly. And other edible insects directly can be consumed by humans, like crickets and grasshopper, like locusts and silkworm, puber, and some people they try to collect some edible insects from the wild, but it's not large scale. But the industry level, we have these three is the major ones, like housefly, black fly, and the yellow mealworm. It's very fantastic. So use this continuous drying microwave, we can get several different products, dried larvae and protein powder and oil. But there are one issue we have to consider, because the microwave can give you a bad products, but energy cost is very high, electricity, and it's very expensive. So now we are trying to test other technology like hot wind. They use biomass. It's not a coin, but it's a biomass to make hot wind to dry this new material for us. It worked, and can reduce the cost to 20%. So it's good. We're gonna have some more improvement for this process very soon. So about this process for bioconversion, I call it bioconversion process. We got additional benefit from this. First is deodorization of the waste. Second is eliminate pathogenic bacteria in the waste. There we have a lot of evidence for this, and you can, because insects have innate immunity, they can produce antimicrobial peptides, and this one is also very good for our animal husbandry industry. The fourth part is it can reduce the antibiotic, because in China we used a lot antibiotics during the reference system in the, for the animals, and there are a lot of residues in the manure, residues of the antibiotics. So bacterify can reduce antibiotic residues and even the antibiotic resist genes. Here shows the other version with animal manures. Some typical offensive odors have been dramatically reduced after hours, like 40 or 25 hours. Also, we didn't know. People usually think skeleton, but the volatile fatty acid is also very offensive to human. So the volatile fatty acids also can be reduced dramatically after the conversion process. Here is some evidence for inhibition of pathogens in animal manure about E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Salmonella. So now we are running another experiment about some markered bacteria in the manure. We're going to use RT-PCR to test if they are really doing something. So with the ability to produce antibacterial peptides, we isolated several genes from the genome of a black soy fly. Belongs to 3 different kind of antimicrobial and we're gonna have some more because the genome already sequenced, and the information will be easy for us to explore. So expressed one of them, which is very good for pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic fungi. So I think those peptides, if we can produce in vivo, and we can produce like new antimicrobial agents, which can be used as like feed additives in the animal feed to reduce the level of antibiotics in the animal breeding systems, and spreading of their antibiotic resistant genes. So this data is unpublished. It's just finished in May. It's still under revising the paper, and shows bacterify conversion can reduce the concentration of antibiotics. Also can reduce the antibiotic resistant genes in the manure after conversion. You can see the various changes of the concentration of the genes. So it's good. It's not just for management. Also can reduce the risk what's left in the residue, because we're gonna use the residue after conversion for fertilizer production. If we can reduce the safety problems, it's good for us. The first part is about the feeding values. I think there will be more speakers going to talk about it, but I'm going to give you a brief introduction. What we did in China is we tested several different animals in the laboratory, and we have some company to help us to run the test. First, a lean hand, broiled chicken, and the fish. Here shows is a nutrient analysis of larvae per pupil and the comparison to the fish meal and the soybean meal. So it's comparable to soybean meal, the crude protein content, but it's lower than the fish meal. But the crude fat content is very high than the other things, and it's the amino acid comparison. It's very balanced, and it's good for the big animal consumption. It's also, this one shows the fatty acid comparison of the grease. So you have some, you can see from here, you can see bacterify have some odd number, like 15, 19. Also have some very later one, like 23 carbon numbers, because the odd number fatty acid is very good for the health of a human, can even fight with cancer. But the relative content is very low. Also, the lean hands. If we incorporate bacterify meal in the lean hand diet, the egg laying can be increased. Also, the broiler chicken also have some good data for the testing. I want to show you is this one. Is we got yellow-headed catfish, which is very relatively expensive in China. It tested the growth rate and every characteristics, and we tested the immunity of the fish, different index. So we found out if we use insect meal in the big animal, take fish as instance, it's not just for protein resource. It's not just for nutrition. Also, it can enhance the immunity. The fish part is also we have done some biology part. It's for other uses because in China, we have to import oils every a lot of oils, and the biodiesel production amount in China is very low, and we try to see if it is okay from to make biodiesel from the oil of black soldier fly. So we did a lot of research about if you use cattle manure or pig or chicken manure to feed black soldier fly the oils, what's the comparison, what's their differences, and what's the properties of the biodiesel to make a actually the property of the biodiesel, black soldier fly biodiesel, is very good, and it can met the specification of the EU standard. So from organic waste to biodiesel, black soldier fly can make it work, and this grease can serve as a novel low-cost biomass feed for biofuel. So I think use this map to finalize, and so black soldier fly is famous, is usually can be used for organic waste management. So what we use is, we call it co-conversion with black soldier fly and microbes to produce animal feedstuff and microbial fertilizer. These two basic products in China because our agriculture have a long history. So we use chemical fertilizer too much, and the soil quality in China is getting worse and worse. We need organic matters in the soil. Other things you can do some further processing. Now we have a technology to isolate the oil and the cotton to make chitin and other derivatives. So it's very everything is beneficial in this whole system. No waste from this system. So in China, what we have been done as what we are working on now is we establish a mass rearing base in the Hainan province, which this island, the climate and the temperature, everything is so awesome for the black soldier fly. And we use what we got from here to support everywhere in China to ship. We are designing a special equipment with special box for shipping eggs from this area to those other parts, because in the northern part of China, the temperature is very, it's low. You cannot have a, very high efficiency for the oviposition and the mating especially in the winter time. So if we have this base in here, and it can make all things work much better. So I think insects, not just edible insects, all kinds of insects. I think coin have two sides. So insects can be the last piece of cake from our Mother Nature, and it's a rather new resources for all of us. So in China, now more and more people get interested in black soldier fly. When I was first started this project, no one interested in black soldier fly. No one knows in black soldier fly. No one give you fund for black soldier fly. You cannot get money for your research. But now in China, you can get money. You can get funding from your government. And the second one, I think yellow mealworm. Yellow mealworm also is very have a long research and industry history in China. I think Europe, especially Netherlands, they imported a lot of yellow mealworm from China, especially from my hometown, Shandong province. Another housefly, also other things, other insects. This one also very popular in China. I like it very much. So acknowledge this is my supervisor, Professor Yu, is already 75 years old, but still working. He gave me a lot of encouragement. It's on my research group. So one last slide is for advertisement, and I gonna host the second international conference in Wuhan, China. The first one is in Netherlands, hosted by FAO and Wageningen University, and the second one I'm gonna have it in Wuhan, China, Insect Feeder World. And this here is a website, so I'm gonna welcome all of you to China to visit Wuhan. If possible, we can go to their facilities to see what we are working on and the achievements in China. So I want to use this one to finalize my presentation. Insects, edible insects and other insects, not just can feed the world, but also can heal the world, make it a better place for our generation and the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the really interesting talk. We have time for 2 questions.
Thank you for your very impressive talk. It was quite fantastic for us. And I would have a double question. The first one, you spoke about probiotics that you were adding to MSCA. Could it be possible to have some more details on the way you are using these probiotics? And the second one, you showed impressive things of factories, but with not one human in them. So is it completely automatized, or how many people do you need? And last one, what is the weight of manure that you can use for one tray? Because you have modules with tray that we saw, 1 meter square, I suppose, but which weight can you use?
I'm going to answer your third question first. A lot. You're going to need a lot. You're going to need a lot. Actually, the box, they have a special design for the box. And the major investment, like 30%, I think, is for the box from the whole system. So you need a lot of box for. And the first question about the bacteria. So what kind of bacteria? Because I didn't put names of the bacteria or the strains in the slide because it's we are applying the patent in China, and yes, we isolated from the gut, and we also got some natural microbes from the manure. And we have the isolates, and we do individual co-conversion test, and we do the formulation. So what we got is a formulated complex of a bacteria for the process. Also, we have different formulas for different materials. So I hope that answers your first question. The second one, I don't remember what is the second one.
For how many humans?
Workers. How many workers for the whole system? For now, they have 4 people. 4 people. One is for for checking, and another 3. There are some very critical procedure. They have to check occasionally to see if it's worked very because it's still under testing. It's not perfect yet, but I think later probably they're gonna need less labor for this system. So you can see it in front of the computer and push buttons for the whole system, I think. Thank you.
There is no other question. We thank you again for your nice presentation.
Thank you.